Hey everybody, my name is Steven and welcome back to the Storytime channel. Without wasting any time, let's get into the stories of the day. The time entitled Aunt took over my parents' house. I'm back with another story about my aunt and her shameless entitlement. The events of the story occurred in 1982, a year before I was born. My dad told me all about it some time ago. My parents had recently gotten married. My cousin, Aunt's son, was 6 at the time and my uncle had recently lost his job. My grandmother insisted that my dad support his sister in her time of need. This meant letting my aunt and cousin move in until my uncle could find a job. Uncle 2, of course, would be welcome whenever he decided to show up. My parents' house had only 2 bedrooms. One was occupied by Grand Monster, the other by my parents. Here in India, it is customary for elderly parents to live with their adult sons. She insisted that my parents give up their bedroom to aunt and cousin, because she couldn't imagine her little girl having to sleep in the living room. My dad didn't want to upset his mother and he agreed. My aunt and cousin stayed over for a month and my uncle too would come over on the weekends. Grand Monster insisted that my mother cook for them whatever they demanded. So my mom would come home from work and would cook 3 different meals, one in accordance with my cousin, one according to my aunt's preference, and a third for herself, my dad, and Grand Monster. On weekends when my uncle came over, his preference would have to be catered to as well. But were they ever grateful? Heck no! They felt perfectly entitled to boss my mom around and find faults in her efforts to make them comfortable. Nothing she ever did for them was good enough. Aunt and Grand Monster would constantly criticize her cooking and housekeeping skills. When my dad did his share of housework, they'd mock him for being henpecked. Almost every other day, my aunt would invite her friends over and they'd stay for hours and my mom would have to cook refreshments for them as well. Anytime my mom wanted to invite her friends over, my Grand Monster would put on a scowl that could suck the soul off a Dementor. But Aunt's friends were welcome, of course. The one time my dad put his foot down was when Aunt wanted to invite a friend of hers to stay for the weekend. Interestingly, my uncle's sister, an example, Aunt's sister-in-law, found Aunt and Uncle's behavior to be quite inappropriate. She visited once and clearly didn't like the way my mother was being treated. She was a strong, no-nonsense kind of woman and called out my aunt for not being grateful for the way my mom and dad were putting up with her, and told her she should stop being a burden and should help out with the housework. My dad tells me that the concern an outsider had shown for her well-being, that should have been expected from family members, brought tears to my mom's eyes. My aunt cried over this too, but for entirely different reasons. She complained to my Grand Monster that my parents had made her look bad in front of her husband's sister. My Grand Monster reprimanded my parents for making her cry, and my mom ended up apologizing to my aunt just to keep the peace. It turns my stomach when I think about this. Finally, my uncle found a new source of income and aunt and cousin moved back in with him. But not before they took my parents' TV with them. Back then, televisions were a novelty for middle-class households in India. My aunt and uncle didn't have one. My mom and dad had just bought theirs. My Grand Monster made my parents give up their television to my aunt because they'd been through such a tough time and they'd give it back once they could afford to buy their own. Needless to say, the TV was never returned. What a terrible woman. Multiple figures here are way over entitled. It really upsets me just reading about it. Entitled parent screams at me for taking an empty spot. This happened yesterday afternoon. I, 21-year-old female, was on my way to the store. I'm still a student driver and my boyfriend, 24-year-old male, who is a licensed driver of 5 years, said to park into the Walmart parking lot. When I pulled into a parking spot, a lady stopped behind us and trapped us in. Me and my boyfriend are sitting in his car as I'm thinking, what the freak? As she gets out of her car with her 12-year-old and screams for me to get out of her spot. My boyfriend just laughs, which really surprised me. He never laughed at this kind of thing. But that ended when she hit his car, slamming her hands and kicking. My boyfriend stopped laughing and became irate. I told him to let me handle it. So I got out and called her a brat for pouting over a spot and that I'm trying to learn how to properly drive. She continued to scream and I'm getting angry. Suddenly, God sent an angel in the form of an officer. I explained what's going on. I was preparing for my driver's exam. Lady confronted me, etc. IDs were checked. Me and my boyfriend are cleared. The lady starts saying that I was breaking the law by driving without a license. The officer told her to go or she would be arrested. While the lady was arguing with the officer, the 12-year-old apologized on her mother's behalf. I accepted it. Moments later, the child and mother got in their car and left. I apologized that he had to go through that and he wished me luck on my driver's exam. Cops can be good. Not all are bad, thankfully. So if you were in this situation and you pulled into the parking spot and this lady comes and boxes you in and starts yelling at you, what would you have done or said? Let me know in the comments below. Volunteering at a hospital doesn't make you medical personnel because you don't get paid. Disclaimer: I am constantly being accused of exploiting a system. First off, if I did, then I would have known from someone who works there. Secondly, I didn't get a discount due to being a minor. Lastly, the people in my group were just myself and my parents. So before you angrily tell me that I was exploiting a system, I wasn't. Please don't be that person. EM, Karen. NK, nice kid. MAM, medical assistant mom. Me, Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Me. Backstory: I volunteer at my local VA medical center. I used to do it at first just to see what it was like. Now I enjoy it. I signed up for a clinical and administrative job for different days and I enjoy both of them. Both of my parents work in the medical industry, one of them being on the front line of this pandemic. I went shopping so I don't go too insane from the quarantine. Those who have had badges from working in a hospital can invite more people, 2-person max, and even get a discount. Me, knowing that I volunteered at a hospital, decided to do an experiment. My parents and I came in with our badges and masks on, and we were all let in. Everything was normal, we were just shopping and talking about our garden. My mom and I were asked to get frozen fruit because I like to mix fruit in with my protein shakes until the gates of heck have opened. Right when I turned around with my frozen strawberries, maskless, entitled mother stops me right in my tracks and eyes my volunteer badge. Shouldn't you be at home? Why are you asking me this? You're a volunteer, you shouldn't be out here. Neither should you, you're not wearing a mask. Nonetheless, following the social distancing rule. At least I have a paying job. That's when it hit me. Are you saying that I shouldn't be here because I'm not getting paid for what I do? Exactly, you are exploiting the benefits of working in a hospital. Let the real workers have their benefits. I don't need a paycheck for working in a hospital. It's something I enjoy doing. That'll change soon. Medical assistant mother turns around seeing a strange woman in my face, so she approaches us, hoping to dissolve the quarrel. I can sense the mama bear in her already. She says, "I'm sorry, but what is going on?" Finally, actual medical personnel. Can you tell this poser to get the heck out of here? Well, hopes of dissolving it peacefully have gone out the window. Medical assistant mother says, "Excuse me, you cannot tell my daughter that. OP can count as medical personnel as she also works with patients. Does she even come in contact with patients with corona?" Me thinking, playing the corona card? The volunteering season is close until the pandemic dies down. See, she is a deadbeat. What kind of parent are you letting your kid be entitled? You ought to scold her. Coming from a Karen, my mom, an entitled mother's kid, laughed. She gets in my face and yells at me. I don't know who you are, but you better not disrespect your adults. If you love your mother so much, then take that badge off and get the heck out of here. Entitled mother leaves, but her kid stays behind. Her kid says, "Hey man, sorry about that. My mom is just scared because of this pandemic. She saw you with your moms and she got angry and wanted to check to see if you should be here or not. Personally, I like that you volunteer at a hospital." I say thanks. You should try volunteering at the VA when the season opens. The kid says maybe I will sometime. Nice kid leaves to go catch up with her mom. After that, medical assistant mother and I return to the cart with the frozen berries. I have met Karens before, but that's because they hate me for having colored hair, liking anime, or listening to metal. Never have I ever had an encounter as bad as this. My hat's off to OP for taking the time to volunteer in medical services. That's an area I bet does not get as many volunteers as it could use. So a big credit to OP. Entitled mother thinks it is her neighbor's job to watch her kids. Backstory. My grandpa is in the high-risk group, so my mom and dad are going out. My mom is getting our shopping and my dad is getting my grandpa's. Story. So I'm home alone doing schoolwork and I hear a knock at the door, so I answer because we were expecting a parcel. So when I get there, I am shocked to see my neighbor there with her 2 kids. Is your parents home? No, they are shopping. Oh, well, here, you will have to watch my kids by yourself then. Then entitled mother starts to leave and just leaves her kids. Me to the kids, you're gonna have to go with your mom. To entitled mother, I'm not watching your kids. If you leave them, I'll just leave them outside. No, you will watch them because your parents are supposed to watch them today. Entitled mother normally goes out on a Wednesday and my mom babysits because she is unemployed. Yeah, but there isn't usually a pandemic. I close the door at this point. So I look out the window and see entitled mother drive away quickly and think nothing of it. Then I hear a knock at the door. So I open the door and entitled mother left her 2 kids outside of my house. And I can't let them in because, global pandemic. I'll let you into your house and I'll come check on you in about an hour. Kid 1 says, okay, thanks. Kid 2 says, yeah, thanks, we can play on the PlayStation. I say, yeah, sure. Then about an hour later, I go check on them. They were fine. Then my mom and dad get back and I tell them all about entitled mother. Then about 2 hours later, entitled mother gets back and I hear a knock at the door and my mom answers and I hear entitled mother screaming. Your kid left my poor babies all alone and didn't watch them. Mother says, no, you left them all alone and didn't watch them. But you weren't home and you were supposed to watch them. Mother said, maybe the news where you aren't supposed to go to other people's houses wasn't clear enough. And my mom shut the door. I agree that this person was incredibly entitled and how dumb can you be? So this pandemic starts flaring up and you think you can just go off somewhere and dump your kids on somebody? Especially if the people who agreed to watch your kids aren't home. Absolutely not. Karen tries to take my pants at a store and then attempts to kick the security in the balls when they want to check the security cameras. I was at Busini, which is an Arabic store for clothes, and I was getting new pants because my cousin spilled some Vimto, a red drink that is made of raspberry, on my pants, so onto the story. EM, entitled mother obviously, C is cashier, M is manager, and K is her 13-year-old boy, the same age as me at the time. It stands for nice kid. Guard, security guard. Now, I will try to translate my best because we were speaking in Arabic, except when she was yelling nonsense at me. So I'm in line at the cashier and then I feel the tap on my shoulder and I turn around. Yes? My little boy wants to have those pants. There are some left over there, while pointing at where I got the pants. No, I want those pants, referring to the ones in my hands. Now, I could have just given her the pants, but I have anger issues and I don't take poop from anyone. I am not sure if you heard me, but there are more pants over there. Entitled mother beginning to get mad. No, I want these pants. Are you deaf? How dare you? I told you many times, they're... Entitled mother cutting me off. No, you give me these pants because you insulted me and you always have to respect the people who are older than you. If you considered yourself older than me, then act like you aren't a ducking toddler. Now the reason I'm at the store by myself is because my mom is sick and so my little brother stays home with her while I go to the supermarket to get food and clothes. And my father has a lot of work to support our family and so he can't take care of my mother, but now we are not poor anymore and are living a normal life. And someone called the security and they came and they were 3 strong men. Guards, he tried to hurt my son. Me just standing there with my mouth wide open. That's not true. The guards are listening to her story and the nice kid jumps in. No, that's not true. He didn't do anything to me. And at this point, everyone is gathering around us and I started to feel like a gladiator in the Coliseum because everyone was watching and wanting to know who wins. The guards say, okay, let me go check the security cameras. Entitled mother starts panicking and kicks one of the guards in the balls, and then one of the 2 remaining guards tase her, and that was the first time I had ever seen a taser in action. The guards cuff her up and bring her out of there while the kid is crying and following her. I feel bad for the kid, but entitled mother deserved it. How are you gonna start freaking out and then your response to freaking out is just to give a swift kick to the balls of a security guard? Like if that's gonna get you out of trouble, in contrast to them seeing that OP wasn't guilty and that probably being the end of it. Entitled mother thinks neighborhood corona help means that she is somehow entitled to a personal assistant who walks her dogs, watches and schools her kids, and does all her shopping. I live in a largest apartment block complex. It's actually nice. In Central Europe, and when our government issued coronavirus social distancing rules and recommendations, the neighborhood office, small nonprofit organization of neighbors, they offer some neighborhood help coordination, such as borrowing tools from neighbors, a small leave one and take one library/book exchange, and information about activities for kids. Started to coordinate neighborhood help for risk group people or people in self-quarantine. There is no strict stay-at-home order in my country, but most stores, except grocery stores, are closed and it's not allowed to meet in groups of more than 5 people except if you live together. But it is still recommended that if you are tested positive or experience any corona-related symptoms, that you stay at home for 14 days, and that if you belong to a risk group, you should be extra careful and, if possible, not go outside. Schools are closed as well, which makes it difficult for parents, of course. So just FYI, this help group has a lot of volunteers, but not many people actually request help. It's the same with almost all of these groups, so if you need assistance and there is such a group available, please do request help. People are willing to help and it's not a burden to them. Just don't be a Karen. So about 3 weeks ago, I got a notification from one of the coordinators that I should connect with Entitled Mother, who contacted the group and asked for assistance. I was glad I could finally do something, so I called this person immediately. Hello, this is my name. I got notified by the help group that you need some assistance. What can I do for you? Oh, thank God, finally. Yes, I need... She immediately starts listing grocery items, and I try to write all of it down as quickly as possible. And it would also be great if someone could walk my 2 puppies every day. And I am going crazy with this school. I need someone to watch my kids while they do online classes. So regarding groceries, I start reading the very long list back to her to make sure I got everything, while she further explains what exact brand she wants and how much she is willing to pay for it. I am not sure we can get you everything you need because some of these things are sold in stores that are currently closed. But I will pass this list on to the person who is coordinating the shopping today and we will see what we can do. What do you mean? I need these things immediately. We are coordinating all the groceries first, ma'am, so that we can get everything in 1 or 2 trips. I am sorry, but you will have to wait for it until tomorrow and it might be that we can't get everything you need. Also, what kind of dogs do you have? I ask this because I don't feel comfortable around large dogs. I mean, all doggos are beautiful, but I get nervous around large dogs, especially if I don't know them. 2 German Shepherds? When can you come over and walk them? I am sorry, ma'am, but I am not good with large dogs like yours, but I will post a notification in the help group ASAP so that someone else can help you with that, okay? I am sure someone would love to play with your dogs. Wow, I can't believe this. You are supposed to help me. What about my kids? Don't tell me you can't come and watch them either. I'm sorry, ma'am, but we are not babysitters. I understand that the situation is difficult with the schools being closed, but if you have technical difficulty setting up the online learning environment, I can try to help you with that. Babysitter? I don't need a babysitter. I need someone to watch my 12 and 14-year-old sons because they are lazy and refuse to do their homework. I am going crazy. I am sorry, but I can't help you with that. What? You are supposed to help me. She is yelling at me at this point. I am trying to. I already sent your list of groceries to the coordinator and posted your request for help with the dogs in the group chat. I get that the situation is hard for you, but we are a help group to assist sick people and the elderly. Even with so many volunteers, we are not prepared to organize tutoring or babysitters too. I'm sorry. Also, I am not supposed to enter your apartment. I knew it. All you do is care about the elderly, but no one cares about single mothers like me. Also, what are you talking about? Sick people? Well, yes, people who can't go outside because they are self-quarantining. What do you mean? Did you have contact with infected people? How dare you offer to come to my house then? Are you crazy? Ew, no, I don't want you people to touch my food or my dogs. She then went on how she doesn't want us to bring her groceries or walk her dogs and then hung up on me. Problem solved, I guess. This lady was expecting the world of help for her. In a time like this, I'm glad she got fed up and canceled everything. I don't think she deserved any of that help. But with that being said, that's all the stories we have for today. So what I want to know is which of these stories was your personal favorite and why? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you all so much for watching and listening to the Storytime channel. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. And don't forget to turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. Thank you all again for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.